a lot of the government failure is because of the nature of the structure of the Iraqi government. Let's face it, that Iraqi government is a consociation of many groups. Many people in government with high positions are one foot in the government and another foot in with the terrorists. That's a truth, and it's well known. So that's another part. Security was not beefed up again because Baghdad is full of holes. I mean, you talk about clearing Fallujah and taking Fallujah back from the terrorists, which is a great thing. We all celebrate it. But let's remember that there are certain areas in Baghdad that are more nasty or nastier than Fallujah in terms of being incubators of terrorist sympathizers and terrorists, to be frank. The government cannot really, because of the mechanism of running politics in Iraq nowadays, it cannot even approach these areas, because the moment you move against certain areas that are basically Sunni dominant areas, then it will be accused of sectarianism, and that's a big problem. So
well, let me bring in on this point Faisal Al-Yafai. Faisal, you heard the argument there that yes, there is corruption, but to a certain degree, the way Iraq is set up, the government's hands are partially tied.
Well, partially tied might be overstating or understating the degree of government involvement. As Lisa Rubin put it at the very beginning, this is not really an attack on a Shia neighborhood, even though it is sometimes called that in the media. This was an attack on Iraqis. This was an attack on ordinary civilians going about their daily life. And when you pass the anger, when you pass the comments of people who were there on the scene, people who suffered from the bombings, you note that what the anger is directed at is not merely the government, but the fact that they don't feel that the government is listening to their concerns. And this goes to the point that Zaid is making, and has actually, I mean, I remember listening to Zaid make the points about these Gulf detector, these Gulf finder bomb detectors perhaps a year and a half ago. He's been talking about it for a very long time, doing excellent reporting on it, and nobody in the government is listening. And the reason they are not listening is because what difference does it make from their perspective? As Abbas points out, Iraq, and Baghdad in particular, is split between lots of different areas. And if you are in one particular area, or you're in a different particular area where the government does not exist, it doesn't make much sense to say, well, there are security checkpoints, well, the green zone is fortified. It has to be an entirety of fortification across the city, across the capital. It cannot simply be that some parts are fortified and others are not. Now, the people on the ground know this very well, and that is why you see the anger directed at the politicians, because they realize that as long as it doesn't affect the green zone, as long as it doesn't affect the people who are making the laws, nothing is a problem for the politicians.